Hey Joseph, man. So I just figured instead of trying to explain it through a comment, I'll just show you. I just made a video for you right quick, dude, just to show you what the concept is behind this situation. So basically, the situation is this king is going to be able to take this pawn either here or here, and so all black needs to do, no matter what white does. So let's say, for example, white comes back here to try to get this pawn. Knight g5 is going to be the move, and so as you can see, the king doesn't have the ability to come here or here. You can always push this pawn if you want to. So this knight, it has it's serving two purposes on g5. So it's basically making it impossible for this king to advance up along with this pawn, and it's blockading this pawn. So this pawn doesn't have the ability to move. So this king, like I said, can take this pawn at its leisure, and once it does, it's going to be coming back. So just to give you like a you know, like I said, I mean, this is the initial position that it ends at. And so if the king does try to come over here and get the pawn, knight g5 is going to come. You don't really have anything else you can do. You're going to have to push pawn, king can take. You're just really just forced to kind of shuffle back and forth because you can't make any progress forward, as you can see. All this king has to do is come into the situation, and this pawn is dropping, and this pawn is going to be forced into a queen. And you can even give this knight up if you want to. And so black is going to force the win through. And so it might look like he just ran out of time, but Carlsen was so disgusted at the fact this is what he saw, you know. So this is the situation he saw. So basically he just was like, screw it, I'm going to not play anymore. So he just stopped moving and just let his time run. So he basically resigned. So that's just one variation as to the reason why Magnus Carlsen lost that particular position. It's very deep. If we back up, basically you have to understand, number one, you have to understand the way that a knight protects a pawn from the back. Because even if you were to take this position here and the king doesn't move, you can push pawn here as well. You can do this. This is a concept of a knight protecting a pawn from behind, because the king, so even if you have this position, if the king starts coming this way, or let's say the king tries to make progress up to try to eliminate this knight from protecting this pawn, this is lost, because then you'll push pawn here. So it has to do with a knight's ability to protect a pawn by itself from the back, either from this square or this square. And it also has the concept of the king being in the square of the pawn. So there's multiple different in-game concepts that are employed here. So like I said, it's the knight protecting the pawn from the back, which is one in-game concept. It's also the inability of the king to go this way because the pawn can push this way, and then the king is not outside the square of the pawn. And then the fact that this king at its leisure can do whatever it wants to and take as long as it wants to come over here. Just like I said before, getting us into this position right here. As you saw, this king doesn't have the ability to really do anything. And this king can just leisurely walk over and just take its time to do what it needs to do. So that should explain fully the situation. And hopefully that you have the ability now to understand why he gave up, when it just kind of looked like, you know, why is he giving up? So that should explain to you why. And like I said, you really can't put that in a comment. And so that's why I do analysis videos. So feel free to subscribe and look at my videos. And like I said, this video was made specifically to answer your question. All right, man.